Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel if it's the first time you've been here. And if you've been visiting me for a while, welcome back. Today, I thought I would spend some time responding to some of the comments and some of the feedback from the channel, because connecting with you and having a very personal, dynamic dialogue with the people who are watching is important to me. And some of these comments are pretty universal. So I'll be reading them and then I'll be responding. So here we go. The first comment that just came recently is from a person who says, years ago I heard my guides all the time, but it's been a while since I have, and there's been a lot of discord in my life and in my family. And since then, I've really not had a connection with my guides. And they want to know, what can I do about it? Is this a permanent problem? Do you have to have a peaceful life? So very good feedback / question / observation. The truth is that life is hard. And when we get into discord and difficulty and into defense, especially in our home and our family, we close our heart down. It's a protective measure. But it actually, unfortunately, unplugs you from Guide Central, which is your heart. And the truth is, it's probably when you need your guides most, right? So what I suggest is something that I suggested in a previous video. If you can't get guidance, there are two ways that can help you kind of overcome that and reconnect. Well, actually, there are three ways. So the first is go for a walk. And on that walk, voice and express all the frustration, the anger, the upset, that captures your mind. You're so unfair. This isn't right. How could you do this? I want to leave. You're making me crazy. Why can't you control yourself? Just some common examples of what we want to say to people we live with. And especially now, because there's a tremendous amount of pressure on the planet right now. And on many people, it can bring out the worst because they're so uncomfortable. So you go for that walk, and after you finish expelling everything, so you might have to go for a long walk, then earnestly ask your guides in a prayer, in an intention, in a meditation, to guide me. Help me respond to the situation and show up in the best possible way for me and all concerned. And here's another one. Move me in the direction of my highest good and the best for all concerned. So if you can't move my mind, move my body. I also say move my lips, move my thoughts, move my words. And then what happens is the force takes over. And the next thing you know, you're behaving very differently than maybe how your ego would have chosen to behave. The other thing you can do is to take a shower, and then if you have some quiet, which can be hard in a volatile family atmosphere, but if you can, after you take a shower, have 15, 20 minutes, do some automatic writing. You just write out, this is my concern, but do the same thing like I had when you go for the walk. First, empty the garbage, put out everything that's on your mind, disturbing you, upsetting you. And then, as though you're writing to your guide, write out your question or concern. Take a few breaths, put your hand on your heart, and then write the answer as though your guide or guides or your creator, your higher self, your guardian angel, the best qualified to respond and help me now, write back. And just allow that experience to happen, and it will. You'll be surprised. Another good way is to use an oracle deck. Now, this one is Ask Your Guides. This is my new 2024 version of Ask Your Guides. But I had an old version. Maybe you have that, or maybe you have your own oracle deck. But sometimes you can just go right to the deck. If your heart is sincere and you're focused, you can just shuffle. And then what you do is you spread the cards out, or you spread them all over a table, and then you put your hand over them, and then you just pull one out, or two or three. So if you're going to do one, this is the best course of action.
If you're going to do 3, the first is understand. This is how you need to look at the situation would be the first card. Your what's out of view or your blind spot or what you're not considering is the middle card. And then the third card would be the course of action. And when you pull the cards, you pull them out and then you flip it to the side. Now, this particular deck doesn't have a reverse. So however it turns out, reverse the card. Then there is a guidebook that goes with it. You can use for some kind of guidance. And secondly, then write down what you get in addition to the guidebook. So that's that question. Our next comment is, I've been so sensitive to the world lately. No kidding, right? And that's because our inner senses are waking up and coming online, and we're just not used to it. This reminds me, years ago, my mom, when she was a child, when she was in the war, lost her hearing. And she had the use of hearing aids, but they were very, very marginally effective, if anything. But she lip read and it got along, and she said she liked the silence. But eventually, we decided we want to get my mom the best hearing aid ever. And when she tried on this newer model years later, she freaked out. It was like, oh my God, this is too loud. No, thank you. And rejected it. And that's kind of what's happening with our inner senses coming online. It's like, oh my God, we can perceive so much more frequency than we're used to. And that's the point. You have to get used to it. So the way to get used to it is to make sure you're staying grounded in your body. Go for a walk, take a shower, make sure you eat plenty of protein, sing, dance, just things that really invite you to be present and here now. And that will tune down that overwhelming experience that you're having. So let's go to the rest of it. And this person commenting says, it feels like a dark cloud and the negative energy is everywhere. And unfortunately, I absorb this. Is there anything I can do to raise my vibration and help the earth? Well, here's the thing about the negative vibration on the planet. Yeah, before a pattern breaks open, it contracts. It gets denser and denser and denser. But we can rise above it by going to our hearts and just starting your day out absolutely, and this is a commitment I do every day, is to acknowledge what you're grateful for out loud as you're starting your day. I'm so grateful I woke up. I'm so grateful I have a juice or a coffee or a water or a tea. I'm so grateful that I have a roof over my head. I am so grateful I have a job to go to if these are the case. Or I'm so grateful there are people who love me. Or I'm so grateful I have a pet who loves me. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful to have a family. Or I'm so grateful to have friends I can call family. If you verbalize gratitude, you're raising your vibration, you're opening your heart, you're helping the planet, you're rising above the third dimension negativity, and you're pulling people with you. And the other thing that really raises your vibration quickly is to laugh. Not sarcastic laugh at, but find things to laugh at that are funny, that make you laugh, that make you see the humor in things. It raises the vibration and helps reconnect to people around you. So be what I call the good fairy, the one with the good news, the good vibes, the funny joke, because everything that we're seeing and being projected at us may be actually true, but it is incomplete. There's so much beauty and so much joy and so much love and so much consciousness happening simultaneously. And you can become part of that and raise the vibration. It only appears that things are awful. There are some awful things, but they're not the only thing. And you can be part of not the only thing. You can be part of what's good. Okay, the next thing. What do I do if people actually get weirded out when I'm positive? After a month of being positive outwardly, most people around me saying being weird or fake. What you're doing is you're bringing a new vibration in, and it makes people aware of their vibration. It makes people aware of their frame of mind. And if they're not receptive, then they might criticize you. So you'll come back to their mirroring frequency that's more negative. So you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm choosing to be positive.
because it's better for my mental and physical health, and it's better for my heart. And that's the real truth. Just say, I'm sorry it's uncomfortable for you, but I am choosing. Because we all get to choose how we see life. I'm choosing this because it's good for me. You don't have to be positive, but I'm choosing it for me. And that is the real truth. I just feel better. That's how I would respond. I've had people roll their eyes at me if everyone's negative and I decide not to be. No, I'm in an environment in France where there tends to be a lot of negativity because it's just kind of a disposition here in a lot of people. And I just say, you know what, it's okay. Works for me. It works for me. Not all. So make sure when you're being positive, you're not asking people to get on your happy train if they didn't want to. Just say, you know what, just works for me. And that usually stops the judgment. Or people self-select out, and that's okay too. Here's one. Now, I pulled a card and someone said, I'm not getting anything. I think I'm receiving only what I'm putting into my mind. How am I sure to tell it's guidance? Okay, now that is your ego really wanting to be in control and really negating the experience. When you pull a card, you say, I don't know, I'm not getting anything. Two things I would say. Your ego wants to control everything you get because the card stimulates the right brain, the imagination, the image, and even Carl Jung, the great psychoanalyst who really helped us get in touch with our inner self, said that was one of the best ways to do it. So you've got to get something. And what you're trying to do is maybe get the right answer instead of receive some inspiration or some direction that could give you some insight for your experience, or for how to deal with your question. I had a woman ask me to pull a card for her on her marriage, and I got change. And she was like, I'm not going to change my marriage. And I said, maybe it's change yourself in your marriage. Use your imagination. Something's got to change if you want to stay married. What do you think that card is suggesting is maybe you change? So let your imagination, you can say, well, my ego isn't getting anything, but my imagination is getting this. And then remember, the ego blocks things because it doesn't want a new point of view. So just make sure that you're available to new point of view. And also, you don't have to follow any guidance, but just let it show up and then decide. This is all new. I understand it. And our egos are really used to being in control, and we've been trained by going to school to always get the right answer. So sometimes when you pull a card from an oracle, you think, I'm pulling a card for the right answer. And you're actually just making contact with a nudge or a suggestion from your guide for a direction that will lead you forward and bring you support and guidance. It's not about what's right. It's what will serve you right now in terms of your outlook, your availability, and suggestion. So maybe not that right, wrong, get the right could be helpful if you get blocked with I didn't get anything. And then have a sense of humor. Just have a sense of levity about it. I mean, even if the situation is really serious, my mom used to always say the situation is critical, but not serious. And that was a saying. She was in a German work camp during World War II, which was about as critical as you could get, separated from your family, and really in pretty much a life and death circumstance. But she said that's what people would say amongst one another is, well, it's the worst, but we're going to definitely laugh. We're going to definitely not let this steal our spirit. In fact, there's a beautiful movie called It's a Beautiful Life that really emphasizes that frame of mind I'm suggesting that will really allow guidance to come in. Okay, let's go back and see what else. Here's one. My manifestation goals are to live on 10 acres and care for miniature animals and live a content life. However, for example, I buy a new bed set for my current life does not mean I'm going against my manifestation. This is an on and on and on question. Let me simplify whatever goal you have. Say, this is the best that I can imagine, so I want this or better. That way you don't get down to the nitty gritty, because what you're trying to imagine is only what you can imagine, but maybe the universe can imagine something bigger, better, and more beautiful for you. I've given examples of that throughout many of my videos, and I've had examples of that in my own life. When I first wrote my first book, I just wanted to write a book for my students locally that I was teaching in my home. And that was my goal. And it ended up that one of my students, a fabulous woman named Julia Cameron, who lived in Chicago at the time and was just beginning to publish her own work at the time, helped me by having me write her, and that became my first book. What a beautiful, beautiful experience, because that book got published and went around the world. I wasn't able to imagine that at the time. I just said this or better. So don't limit or overthink or over manage your goals. Just get the feeling of what you want to experience, and then tell the universe, surprise me, and then be willing to be surprised. That's what really makes manifestation, kind of speed up. Here's one. I found your channel 2 months ago, and I love your work. And I have a question. How do you know the name of our spirit guide? So here's the thing. I have been working in the spirit realm, which is the non-time-space dimension. It's out of time and space. So when I tune into your frequency, it's like tuning in. It's like, how can you speak to me when you're not in the same location? By telephone. Being in the fifth dimension is its own sort of telephone. So I tune into your frequency, and then I can see the guides and connect with the guides around you. I navigate the fifth dimension as easily as you navigate the third. So if you say, well, how do you know the name of my guide? Well, in the third dimension, if I meet you with all your friends, all I have to do is say, what's your name? Who are you and what's your name? Tell me about you. Well, it happens for me the same way in the fifth dimension, and quite honestly, for you too in time, which is why I wrote my book, Ask Your Guides. I did the audio, and I created the deck so that you can also have that easy, comfortable communication. So that's how that happens. Oh, and I had another question, and I did address it in the last video, but I want to address it again because a person was so angry, saying, how dare you tell us that we have to be happy to ask for guidance? I'm in pain, I'm suffering, and that person was genuinely suffering. And my response, I don't ever say you have to be happy. Life is hard. I said you have to be available and to feed your spirit what makes it happy no matter what makes it feel better, what makes you feel comforted and nurtured and opens your heart, doesn't betray that your life is hard. It eases the pain, the suffering, and also helps you become more available to solutions. So I know sometimes it's when you hear something and you're really in pain, you can just fly up the handle and get triggered. I know I certainly do. But I'd say watch it again. Maybe there's something there that you misheard, and that there might be some real available guidance, because your guides love you and want to help you all the time. So you don't have to be in a happy state of mind. You just have to be in a state of mind to consider something that might pop up in your awareness other than what your ego is telling you is possible, because your ego says it's all a mess and there is no way out. So that's I just wanted to devote a conversation to this, because I do care. I appreciate your videos. Send me more comments. Send me more questions. I will address them from time to time. I'll gather them up and address them so that you feel seen, supported, and helped. That's my goal. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again. If you haven't, consider subscribing so you don't miss anything, because these are exciting times. All my love.